Hello, growers of the world. Jordan River here. More Growcast. Today we have Thor from Viking Genetics. You know and love Thor. He is back. We're here to talk about more DWC talk. We're here to talk about Thor's recipe, his genetics, and so much more. You're going to love today's episode. Before we jump in, though, got to give some love to AC Infinity. I love AC Infinity. They make the best grow fans, and they make dope-ass, sleek, beautiful grow tents if you can catch them in stock. Use code GROWCAST15 to save 15%. That saves you 15% unlimited times on the website and once on Amazon. So plan appropriately. AC Infinity, baby. Get their smart T-Series fans that'll kick on at any time. Temperatures, humidities, timers, whatever. Get the simple S-Series, and that one has a 10-speed fan controller. They are feather light. They push more air than any other brand I can find, and they're still affordable. I wouldn't buy any other fans. ACinfinity.com. Use code GROWCAST15 and send us snapshots of you using our code to be entered to win free seeds each and every month. AC Infinity, baby. GROWCAST15. All right, let's get into it with Thor. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to Growcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in today. Before we get started, I urge you to share Growcast. Spread the show. Spread the grow. And make sure you subscribe. Give us a good rating and review. I appreciate it, folks. Thank you. Today we have a return guest. His first episode got wonderful, wonderful feedback to cover the world of autoflower breeding, photoperiod breeding, and most importantly, DWC. We have Thor from Viking Gardens. What up, Thor?
Hey guys, what's up, Jordan? Good to see you, and thank you first and foremost for bringing me on here. But it's a pleasure to speak with all of you guys and really kind of be involved in this. Thanks again.
Yeah, man. Very happy to see your name pop up in my calendar. So whenever we get on the phone, you really enlighten me to the world of DWC, something that I don't know a ton about. And people write me and they say, that episode was awesome. Do more of it. So we're happy to have you back on, buddy.
Right.
Let's see, where do we begin? We're going to do a lot on DWC, so why don't we actually just really quickly switch it up? Talk to me about your genetics. What's going on? Just give us an update on Viking Gardens really quickly before we get into DWC.
And Jordan, thanks. I really appreciate you being able to ask me that question first and foremost. I wanted to give you a thank you for that.
Of course.
And it's been a blessing so far. I mean, we've really developed a lot of different strains. When we first started, we were able to develop 8 strains on our hammer lineup that we were fortunately able to produce here this last fall. And it's been going pretty strong for the last 4 months. We've been able to sell out of some genetics, and some of them are still available through a bank at Oregon Elite Seeds. And
nice.
That was pretty nice to have a sponsorship through a wonderful bank on the West Coast there, to where they have a billboard on the side of the highway and everything. So, I mean, it was a very good, respected thing to be able to work with them. And my genetics that I developed were the Thor's Hammer, the Wildberry Skittles, Blood Cake Bat Cross 1, Galactic Hammer. We have the Hammer the Pie, MC Hammer, and our Amethyst Hammer. And we really making each one. Primarily, we focus on our Thor's Hammer. Thor's Hammer was taken to the F4 stage. It is a awesome mix of Care Bears F2 male crossed into a Northern Cheese Haze from Mephisto. And really the genetic geology, we really took the genes and morphed them as best as we could. We took the best phenotypes through hunting, got it to that F4, and it's really an extra, extra large auto now. We've been fortunate enough to be able to hunt out hundreds. So it was really fun. Once we got to that F3 stage, we had the ability to pull out 100 plants to choose from for the F4. And we really did an awesome selection when it came down to the females. We really just did what we were supposed to do. You pick the best and you work it with the best. And the results came out so great that we decided to take that Thor's Hammer male we were working with and work it into other genetics as well. And that's when the hammer line came out, which I told you about with the other genetics. We took some of Ethos autoflowers. We've got a few packs of each one, the Pluto, with the Galactic Hammer. Now, the Pluto came out pretty well. They were all quite the same. So Thor's Hammer's dominance through the male was able to really deliver through that. And we were also able to work the Banana Hammer, which I forgot to mention also as well was one of our genetics. The Banana Hammer came
That's awesome.
And that Banana Daddy from Ethos was also a genetic we used. And like I said, we were able to hunt out a couple packs of each and really find that select female and put that stud Thor's hammer into it. And as well as the amethyst hammer, we worked with Purple Rock Bud version 2, which was the ice edition from Rock Bud Inc. And it was a beautiful, beautiful female. And we were able to, again, put that Thor's hammer stud into it. And that was able to implement our amethyst hammer, Autoflower Regular. And again, we like to work with Autoflower Regular because of the fact of its stability. The Autoflower Regular is really a true stable genetic. It's, when it first developed the Autoflower, it was outside and it was wild and it really had to withstand everything. And it's actually became one of the most stable genetics, if not the most stablest, because it cannot hermaphrodite. The Autoflower Regular is just such a strong genetic to have in your gene pool that I don't see why a lot of people haven't really worked with the subspecies more often than do, and I feel like opening up the world to bigger autoflowers really has opened up the window for photoperiod growers to look in and see that, wow, these autoflowers are really producing on an exotic photoperiod type level, if you were to say that. Just because the frost levels, the yield, and then they're seeing the time that's really being implemented in the fact that they don't have to switch the hours, nor do they have to really control that fact. They could leave it on more time and just give it just a slight bit of sleep, which I recommend 24 is how I run my lights anyways. Nice. But the genetics have always had a great germ rate. We've always had anywhere between 95 and 100%, which has been really good. And later on, we'll talk about the recipe that I use that I believe possibly brings that results out. And we do breed in DWC and water culture. We don't typically breed inside of any other mediums, but if we are using a hydro method, but DWC is the method we use to breed. And we have great results with that. We have such great results that the plants are getting so big and from flourishing in the DWC that we're able to get an abundance of the genetics. So it's great to know that, when the genetics are here, they're going to be around for a long time because they're producing a lot of beans. So that's been a wonderful thing to really implement DWC into our breeding. And with our wildberry Skittles, we were able to really find the original purple rockberry, the purple rock bud, the PRB. The original one from Rock Bud Inc. is what we used in our wildberry Skittles. And we crossed that into Care Bears F2 male as well. And it was just such a dominant Care Bears that was used because I had contacted Firebuds at the time, which is a wonderful breeder, by the way, if anybody doesn't know him.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, and he's a great dude, great friend of the community. And this Care Bears have really been a awesome dominance for a long time. And when he brought his male into the picture and we were able to put it into that purple rock PRB from Rock Bud Inc., the original version 1, and such a beautiful female was brought in, and we really were able to make that breed happen. That Wildberry Skittles F3 was brought eventually after, working to the F2 and bringing it to the F3. It's still not completely where I want it to be. I really want to take it to an F4. I believe that's where I will be comfortable with it. I want to get more size to it. When we originally created it, it was more about color, frost, and the smell of the profile. Like when everybody asks, hey man, we're a terp hunter, we really are looking for something that's not necessarily going to yield very, very well, but has the best terps possible. And I will refer them to the Wildberry Skittles because I do believe that was our implement on our menu for the color. Hey, you have a purple one? Sure. Wildberry Skittles, because 90% of the time you're getting an all purple pheno with that one. So it's pretty sweet. I do really want to say that we don't necessarily work with FEMs all the time. We really do like the Autoflower Regular, but I have worked an Autoflower Regular Thor's hammer, and we decided to make a feminized Thor's hammer, and that tested out perfectly, and it is ready for the drop. So we're just, kind of waiting and choosing the date. I'm thinking April. Why not be at 420, something like that? So that's when the Thor's Hammer Thor's Hammer, we're going to call them the Thor's Hammer. It is S1, so that is how we made them. We decided to actually reverse half of a plant and keep that same female used inside of its genetics, because we really wanted to use that female was selected. We picked out a 6 foot uh, heavy yielder with color, with major frost, structured where you almost don't even have to train it. You don't have to defoliate it too much because of the way that everything is structured. Internodal spacing is very, very well. It's not elongated whatsoever. We're very happy with the way things are going with that direction. So we decided to use that female, and everything came out pretty well. But we're looking to continue to do that, if we will feature that, constantly over and over again, because when you feminize and you do reverse, it doesn't necessarily make you an abundance as if you were with a male. So, the drops will happen. So I think maybe working a little bit more on that will give us a little bit more stock so it will last, because I think when I do this drop, it's going to be quite a limited drop, because working with feminized doesn't make as many as working with a male. So that's
interesting,
something that we're learning too as well. We've been able to take a little bit of that feminized pollen too from that reversal and work it into a couple other things, and we're learning how to what's called an R1, which is a first generation reversal. For instance, we took a Sherbinsky OG Larry, beautiful female selection. Oh my gosh, it was just such a breathtaking female. I definitely recommend people at least trying the OG Larry autos. We decided to take a female into a Thor's hammer, and I almost don't even want to release those with it. I want to keep all of them for myself and summer.
Wow, man.
It's impressive to see how the testing has been thus far. So I can't wait to really smoke some flowers off of it and get to really get that full test in and understand how.
Damn.
So, I mean, as far as genetics been going, we've really been enjoying our work at DWC, and autoflowers have been a hobby of mine for a long time. I'm not a full-time autoflower grower. I also grow autoflowers at the same time as photoperiods. So I don't say that I'm solely in one lane. Sure. I've always grown autoflowers with my photoperiods, and the reason why is they finish first. If you're a person that isn't commercial and you're at home and you're doing your own thing for your own medicine and your own family, you're growing photoperiod, you're not necessarily holding a bunch of buds. You're waiting to grow those buds so you can have. So what I do is I grow an autoflower on with those photoperiod, so it finishes beforehand. So I'm having some medicine before my ultimate medicine comes 100%.
Out. 100%. That's exactly what I'm doing, Thor. That's exactly what my other garden is
but
doing.
The testing levels have been right up there with the photoperiod. So you're getting the same lifestyle and the same effects, and you're just getting it quicker. And it's been amazing to see that they are implementing so many photoperiods into autoflowers. And that's one thing that I want to talk about with you right now. We have been working photoperiods into autoflowers here. So we have a project going on with a Soulfire Gardens happy hour keeper that I've had for a few years now, going on, a few years. And really, it's been a amazing plant for me. It's a strawberry jelly times the Dawn Mega. The Dawn Mega is a GMO and black banana. Damn. And strawberry jelly is the lineage is strawberry mimosa. It is a mimosa, and it's a beautiful strawberry jelly smelling mimosa, but they call it strawberry jelly. So happy hour strawberry jelly times the Dawn Mega.
Holy shit.
And we have crossed that into our Thor's hammer. So we've gotten our first generation out, and we got those. We've been able to spot from a hunt our autoflower male and female from it. So we are in the F2 stage. We have the results. We have the F2s. We have to get that into an F4. If we can get the next two stages worked here, which will take us some time and actually takes about 6 months to a year to really kind of get that photoperiod trait out of there to where all of them are autoflowering every single time. So once we get that to an F4, we're really going to be able to present that and have our first photoperiod into an autoflower from us ourselves. So I'm pretty happy to use the Soulfire Gardens because they've been so nice to us as far as being a team member of Soulfire Gardens. It doesn't seem like it was, I could use any other, photo period. I wanted to use my happy hour. It's been such a blessing. So that one will be worked into a an auto flower. And I tell people all the time, it can be done. You just have to take it to the F4 stage, and it takes a little over 8 months. It takes about 10 months if you do it straight on and you're putting full steam ahead and you're hunting out, like you're supposed to. So it can be done, and lots of people can make this happen. And like I said, that's why they're looking comparable, is because people are really putting in the work now, taking it to that F4 stage, having it available for us. And those photo periods into those auto flowers have been doing amazing things. And that's the way it's always been. It's what Mephisto's done for a long time, but he doesn't release his auto regular. He does auto feminize.
Right.
And a lot of guys won't release auto regular because of the fact that they're scared that other people are going to take the auto regular, which will make a male and female, and they will make their own strains, and then they will become a, more or less a breeder, and have a whole, library. And so what they do is they only release femmes to us because they don't want people to have that ability with the autoflower regular. They want us to have the feminine. And if we go to a femme, naturally our results are just going to be a little bit more, degraded compared to where if you were using autoflower regular, which has the most stablest, library in genetics to begin with. So
that makes a lot of sense, man. I never thought of it like that.
Yes, sir. That's a blessing there, having those. Thanks for speak about that. Sorry if I dragged that on.
No, man. I love your answers. They're comprehensive, and I absolutely love it. We need to make sure we leave time for DWC, but quickly, the one thing is the amethyst hammer tops my list because I've seen pictures and it looks amazing. And then the banana hammer, because I've had, shout out to the member who brought me some of the banana daddy. Holy shit. That's exactly what you're talking about as far as autoflowers bringing a photo period type punch. I experienced that with the banana daddy, which is the parent of the banana hammer. So those are the two that top my list, Thor. And I will be bothering you as soon as my fucking low plant count, as soon as my autoflower tent frees up, I would love to connect with you, my friend. So those are the ones that I recommend the listeners check out. My personal picks.
I'll be more than happy to get those over to you too. So that'll be a blessing.
Before we return to Thor, shout out to Plant Success. Plant Success. Find it in your local hydro store. These guys make the Great White Myco. Maybe you've seen that granular Myco, a great choice for your Myco. They also make the Liquid Orca Myco. This stuff is imperative. It is crucial in my garden. I use it really early. I like to get the king crab going. That's another product, their bacterial booster. And I like to get the orca going really, really early because I pot my seedlings in an inert media, but I want to get that biology going early on. And I don't mix in the granules. I don't know. It's just not something I do. I wait for it to pop, nice and sterile, not too much feed. And then I throw in a little bit of king crab, a little bit of orca, and man, it is just, mwah, it's beautiful. Plant Success. Check out their Myco Chum, another great product that'll boost your grow. Plant Success has what you need. No matter what you're using, you can benefit from something in their line. We love Plant Success, and we're proud to be partnered with them. Find them in your local hydro store, everybody. All right, let's get back to Thor. Let's make sure that we get into these awesome points you've prepared, though, man. Listen, people want to talk WC. Warcraft. Yeah. People want to talk Warcraft. I know you're a fan. No, people want to talk DWC, deep water culture. Maybe someone who's just tuning in for the first time. This is a method where your plant only sits in a little bit of hard medium and its roots drip down into the open water. Basically, they grow in a bucket. The roots are just sitting right in the nutrient feed. So you can look up, you can check out Thor's last episode, actually, if you want kind of a basic overview. But I want to get into specifics, Thor. Last episode, you mentioned that for you, less is more. You don't use a ton of additives. You use only a few parts. I would love for you to share what your actual recipe is, what brand of nutrients you use, and the specific measurements and how they might change over time. Can you share your Thor's recipe with us?
Sure, and that's a pleasure of mine. First off, I just want to thank you again for bringing up such a great topic.
You're so kind, man.
Everybody really has their own brand of nutrients that they like. And I understand. I mean, some brands have an appeal to them. Some brands have awesome graphics to them. I would say Emerald Harvest, they really attract me from the way that their bottles look. I really like the pictures and arrays. Well, the thing is in DWC, you're using hydroponics, so you don't want to be using anything organic whatsoever. And the reason why is because it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share my recipe with you guys today, not based on a sponsorship. I want to let you know I've used dozens of different brands, guys, out there. I've used everything from Floraflex. I've used powders. I've used the crop salts. I've used Cyco nutrients. I've used Botanicare. I've used Canagrow. I've used Nectar of the Gods. I've used Emerald Harvest. And I'm talking about everything you can think of in DWC. I've used Future Harvest nutrients. I've used all kinds of different stuff, guys. I've even went as far as taking a full-blown organic regimen that I knew was going to dirty up the water big time and cause big time issues, just to try to see if it would work out. And when it all was said and done, less was more. I was using 6 bottles, trying to use everything from beneficial bacteria to microbes to uptakes to using things that were full-blown organic. I was really trying to unlock the DWC for the best things I could. But when it came down to it, the best thing that worked for me was the most simple, and it was very cost efficient. It kind of blew my mind that I was using too much and that less was better. And truly, DWC is a superior, and some would say an exotic way of growing. And it's different. It's a wonderful way to grow. You have a net pot sitting on top of a bucket. I do DWC bubble buckets. I prefer the bubble buckets. I love the air stones inside of the water to help and oxygenate. When it oxygenates that water, it really sparks that special magic that happens between the root zone and its medium.
100%.
And when it's in the water, I like a ½ inch underneath of my net pot, because a net pot is typically 6 inches and it sits inside of your bucket. And if you do it right, you have 3.25 liters of water. It's the exact measurement for a 6-inch net pot. Every time you go to fill up your nutrients, you're going to have 3.25 milliliters of water inside of your bucket, gallons. 3.25 gallons, which is the conversion to liters, is 12.6. Forgive me for saying that. I sometimes will get a little ahead of myself. Well, when I use my recipe, I'm using the cleanest hydroponic ready nutrients available. The reason why I say hydroponic clean nutrients is because a lot of base brands out there are based on 2 different things. One of them being salts, which is a clean, efficient, it's not cheating whatsoever. I used to say, hey, I'm cheating a little bit, not using organics, but it is a very efficient way to grow. I'm using pharmaceutical grade nutrients, which is a very clean nutrient. It's it's not like toxified. I really like the way that the hydroponic based nutes from Cyco nutrients are. Now, Cyco nutrients has this, a lot of people say that it has a little effect when it comes to extracting. They say that they see a little bit of less percentage with Cyco, but that's just what I've heard, hearsay. I haven't really seen enough to really prove that. And from my extraction experiences, it's doing just fine. So I really like Cyco nutrients, and they have an entire lineup too, just like everybody else. And they have a standalone product that, of course, just like every other company, that makes them stand out different from each other. But Cyco Nutrients has a very clean company, and its value for its nutrients are very cost effective. It's awesome. It's efficient. And I could probably bring up a couple other brands that are just as good, but they're a little bit more costly. I'm just trying to tell the people what's best used, because efficient is the best way to grow. If you don't grow efficiently, you're going to be throwing too much money into different areas that you don't need to. Using Cyco Nutrients with their Grow A and Grow B, their Bloom A and Bloom B, with their Cyco Zyme. I really like their Zyme as well. Mm-hmm. And I really also like their Rhizofuel, which is a kelp. And it is actually made to where it can benefit hydro. Once you're with water, you really don't want to be using anything organic or microbial, because it's going to clog up and your air stone by causing slime. It's going to have slime up and down your airline. You're going to have slime all over the buckets and the roots. And if you're using any type of brown product, it's going to stain the roots brown. So brown with slime is just a total avoid that, you know. It's going to start making you think Pythium is starting to evolve and stuff like that. And really keeping a sterile root zone with no beneficials whatsoever. And it really helps the root zone stay clean. And you're changing your nutrients every 7 days. So the bucket's constantly staying evolving with fresh water. And when you get into flower, it's really sucking that water up and the food up every 3 to 4 days. So it's really constantly, you're doing a bucket change every 3 to 4 days. And the thing is you're wanting to use the cleanest nutrients, because when you lift up that net pot and you see all that brown and all that slime from all those what you think is beneficials and good bacteria and organisms is not good for the water. It's just not good. It doesn't work. Water growing is different. You want a sterile, clean system, and you want to constantly use the cleanest stuff. So I really like Cyco's lineup, but they have a lot of different bottles you could use. You don't have to use all of them. Yeah. And with DWC, you definitely don't want to use their uptake. But I do say that they have some awesome stuff like Super Sticky and their Sugar Rush. And to be honest, they have a bud booster that's in their lineup, but you don't need to buy their bud booster. You don't necessarily need the sugars, but it's nice to have them, of course. But they have them in hydroponic, ready, available versions, and they're pharmaceutical grade nutrients. So they're very clean. I'm not sponsored by them, but the cost of it is very cheap. 1 liter is 25 bones, $25. So that's what I mean by bones. Excuse me.
I love that.
Is just truly a very easy cost. I have an awesome hookup through Grow Generation. Grow Generation is a company that's pretty renowned worldwide, and you can order online. And I actually get 5 gallons of my Cyco Grow A for $26 and my Grow B for $26. And so for $52, I'm getting my whole entire grow, just the base, as well as the bloom is the same cost. So I'm spending $100. I'm getting, 5+ gallons of my, base. And then all I need to do is buy my cow mag. So my cow mag is, typically $100 for 5 gallons. So that's a very easy way to maintain. You want to have your Grow A, your Grow B with your cow mag and your Zyme. I do recommend, if you do have extra money, to go out there and buy Power Size Silica. I like nice. Power Size Silica Original, and I like the Bloom that they have out now. The Silica Original is a little more than the Bloom, but it's worth it, and it goes a long, long ways. They say other brands of silica are just as good to use, but they're very watered down. Power Size Silica has a very concentrated, so it lasts a long time. And here's the best part. It's a very, very good product. It works really good. I'm not sponsored by any of these guys, but it works really good. And I use it all the way through, and I have great results. And I could do it on a DWC level. So really, it does work with it. I've heard people say that it doesn't work on DWC level, but yes, it does. And it works great. So I use Size Silica Original, and that's the first nutrient I always mix in my water, because when you do mix your nutrients, you always want to mix silica first, and always pH last at the very end. I've been using Cyco pH down as well, because again, the cost, it's like $8 for a bottle, and it's lasted me, until it almost expires. So, I mean, it really lasts a long time, and I do a lot of plants with it. So Cyco has really been renowned for DWC for a long time, and they're doing a great job. But I want to tell you guys and sum this all up real quick for you. If you want to write it down, I'm using Power Size Silica. I'm using Grow A and Grow B of Cyco. I'm using Cyco Zyme. I'm using Cyco's Rhizofuel, but only at the very, very end if I'm feeling special. But I probably shouldn't even mention that one, just because, again, it's a special additive. You don't really need it. So let's go back and revert that and say Cyco Zyme, and we're going to say a cow mag. That's all you're going to need. That's all you're going to need for your grow. Jeez. You're going to need Grow A and B, your silica, your cow mag, and your Zyme. That's all you're going to need. And then when you get to flower, you're going to need your Bloom A, your Bloom B. You're going to need your Zyme, which I recommend Cyco Zyme for DWC. And these are just because they're the cleanest and they're the most cost effective. It really is a good price for them. And then for your bud booster, Instead of doing what I do, because it's a little advanced, I will add more B than A to boost, but you can acquire a bottle that's going to help you in late, for bud boosting. And if you were to use that bud booster, again, it's an additive. You don't really need it. I recommend going with, the Cyco, just staying with the Cyco brand. They do have a nutrient that's for late flower for its boost. But you don't really need it. You could eventually learn the way to use less A and add more B in order to boost up the PK. So during that stage, you're also going to use your silica because Power Sci has a bloom. So I forgot to mention that. So you're going to have your Power Sci bloom added first, your bloom A, bloom B, and then of course the Zyme, and then CalMag up until week 5. The Zyme is going to go all the way through your flowering, all the way up until flush stage when you're using just water. And what I mean by the flush stage is just water added to the reservoir with nothing in it pH'd. I do use tap water over RO water. I recommend using tap water over RO because it already has the CalMag in it. If your tap water is over, 150 ppms and it's, somewhere up in there in the 300s range, I don't recommend using your tap water if it's not that good. Now, if your tap water and you're measuring it, it's coming out at like less than 200 ppms and you're around the 120 zone that I'm at, you got really fresh, clean water. I mean, at 60 degrees, you can't tell if it's spring water or not. That's how clean it is. So if you have clean water, I recommend using tap water over RO. But if you have anything over like 300 and 350 ppms and you could really taste stuff in the water, I recommend using your RO water. But if you're using RO and DWC, you have to add CalMag.
Right.
Cyco will say that they have CalMag already in it. And from my experience, you're going to need CalMag.
You're going to need more.
So don't forget that bottle of CalMag, guys. That's really good. And in bloom, only use it till week 5. Cut the CalMag out. You're using just the Zyme and the Bloom A and Bloom B and your Power Sci Bloom. And to be honest with you, you really don't need to buy a bud booster bottle for Bloom whatsoever. I recommend just using a little less A and more B. And what I do is if the recipe calls for 30 and 30, I'll use 15 or 20 of the A. And of course, the rest extra all on B. So, you're adding 45 of your B and you're adding 15 of your A for your bud boost.
Just make it up.
And basically it's just adding more PK into it, and just a little bit less nitro, but you're getting that back through the CalMag that you're adding. So it's kind of, balancing it again in its way. Plus the Power Sci Silica has a little bit of nitrogen, a little bit of potassium, and your phosphorus in it. So you're definitely going to be covered. You're not, hurting or not replacing by taking away. You're still all there. It's balanced. Just you're getting a little bit more PK by adding more B than A without having to introduce a whole nother bottle into it. And that's what I do as far as my recipe with running with DWC. Definitely change it out every 7 days. And you always want to maintain the pH. Okay. Your pH is going to swing. Get that to 5.8 when you mix your bucket. It may swing up to the 6 range a day or two after. Okay. 2 days after, maybe 3 days after, into the halfway week mark, you can go and test your pH to make sure it's in the zone. And if it's climbing over that 6.0 range, you could just add a small drop, but make sure you lift the net pot up. Give it a bit of a stir. You don't just want to add a droplet and then drop it back in because naturally it could hit a spot of the roots and just be all pH down. Right. You want to make sure it's mixed. So mix it in a cup of water before you put it into your DWC. I definitely recommend it. If you were going to adjust your pH, don't just add it straight to the reservoir. Put it in a cup, mix it up a bit, and then kind of dump it in there just because it doesn't want to affect the roots, with just straight pH down added into it. Some people do it, but that's why that hydro bucket was invented. And the hydro bucket comes from Visionary Hydroponics, and they now have DWC buckets with ports on the side of them. I'm going to be going with them soon.
Oh, I've seen those. I know what you're talking about. When you mentioned the hydro bucket, I was scanning my head. Yeah, it's the easy adding port thing.
Yeah, I believe it's at I Can Grow, bro. Shout out to Mitch. Mitch is a great guy, and he's really doing wonderful things with that. He's a visionary. He's definitely an entrepreneur and with what he's doing. I believe his bucket lids are the future. If you guys haven't seen him yet, he's definitely going to have these wonderful 3D bucket lids printed. And what's so neat is DWC has always had the trouble of, where am I going to train my plants? Because some people like to do low stress training, which is basically a pulling of the branches in order to widen the plant up a bit and kind of allow light to kind of penetrate down. And a lot of the time I talk about why I structure my plants during my breeding that way is because I like to do LST, and that's about, the maximum. I don't like to do scrog. I do like to do some super cropping and stuff, but I don't like to do a full-on scrog, but I do like to do low stress training. And these new buckets from Mitchell, from the I Can Grow Bro, it's no at symbol, I Can Grow Bro, and there's no underscores or anything in between it, no spaces. And that guy's really the future of DWC buckets.
Damn.
Those are the new ones. So when I talk about adding back pH, he actually has it set up to where you really have a port available to access that without opening up the net pot and really having to add back. When I talked about pH, you don't want to drop in just pH straight in or any nutrients like that. You want to make sure that it's diluted a bit, and you want to always check the ppms and always check your pH. Stay monitoring your DWC. Don't let that get loose on you.
It's just crazy because it's such an interesting style of growing. It's so incredibly simple. Like when I switched to organic soil, I had this, and I know that I'm by no means, I'm just now getting started in the organic kind of soil growing, right. But it's like, I thought it was going to be less parts. I have so many bottles, man, between the Nourish L and the Demeter's Destiny and all the Microbe Life Hydro line and the Epsom salts and the soluble seaweed powder. Now, to be fair, I use very little of each, so all of these bottles are going to last me a lifetime. But for you to just be able to sum it up in 10 minutes, your growing style is so crazy simple that it's you're making a good argument for it, is what I'm saying.
It got simple. And like I said, though, I started off, I really tried dozens and dozens of different kinds. I actually purposely tried to fight through organic slime and tried to fight through it just to get a result with organic and DWC, to try to really do like a no-till hydro type deal. And I really was like, it ain't worth it. The results coming from the clean pharmaceutical grade nutrients were the same terp profile as I was getting in soil and stuff. And I don't knock any type of living soil or organic whatsoever, because I do run organic outside and I do like to use bottles outside, but I've just recently worked my way into organic to where I'm using amendments now and
That's
stuff,
super
and
cool.
really earth. And I don't knock it whatsoever, but I don't see a big enough difference between hydro and that living soil with what I'm doing and the genetics and the hunting that I'm able to hunt down. I'm getting the same terp profile, but I'm getting more of a faster growth during veg with my hydro. And whenever it's blooming, I see a bigger quality and size to the buds. I mean, I love the terp profile. I love the soil. They both do very, very good, but I've just seen a little more superiority out of the hydro growing with, and it's not big of a difference. I've noticed that the terps are a little bit more pungent in the soil. And again, I want to say that, of course, I'm using a lot more microbes and organics to unlock that, of course, but growing with water, you can do it very simply, fast, and you're not missing much, but you're gaining more.
Jeez, man.
More pros than there are cons, of course, but you're getting a lot more.
You make a good argument, man. You make a great argument. And I give a lot of love to the organic growers. So for you to come on this show, the synthetic growers are cheering you and Mike A and some of these guys with the high EC stuff. It's great to have you on here. Let me say one thing, though. I do want to recommend, I know you've brought up and other enzymatic products that aren't necessarily part of your recipe, but you've said you like and work before. Things like SLF 100.
Oh, yeah.
There's one product quickly, though, I'd like to recommend you try. It is called King Crab by Plant Success. It is a beneficial bacteria product, but if you take a look at it, it's a perfectly, now this is some layman's approach, but I heard you just say it a second ago. It's a perfectly clear, clean liquid that they say actually helps break down stuff in lines. Would you try that product and let us know how it does in DWC?
I want to try it. So I've recently heard about it, and I heard it's actually a really cool thing. And the crustaceans that it's another word for like crabs, shells, fish, and stuff like that. they've been able to unlock that for organically and make this clear gel. It's almost like a gel, almost somewhat. It's pretty liquidy. It's not super jelly, but I've seen a product like that made.
Seems clean.
Yeah, and it really actually helps that benefit, as well as it makes the plant think that it's being attacked by stuff. So it really makes the plant kind of work on overload. Like I have some stuff called High Shield from an enzyme company, Hygrozyme, Cyco Innovations out of British. I believe they're from British Columbia
Yeah, I know those guys, Hygrozyme.
Yeah, but anyways, I've had something like that here, but I wanted to look into that too as well. So thanks for referring them.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if the crab part is, if there's crustacean in it. I know it's a concentrated bacteria, but I instantly thought this reminds me of SLF 100. And then when you're talking about products that actually work in DWC, I think this might be one of them. So I'd love for you to report back on that, because you are kind of our in-house DWC expert, is really what you are, Thor.
Yeah, and I could do it because I've got so many DWC buckets growing that I could just take one to the side and really have no problem doing that.
Can I come visit or what? I don't mean to be forward.
Oh, yeah. This is a thing, man. I really wanted to have you come up here one day. We have 30 acres here, and we really want to attach to my house and my land. When I bought this land, I really had an idea to really kind of either build a really awesome bed and breakfast log cabin area to where we could have our friends come in and have an awesome retreat, because we have a wonderful mountain that's behind our home. We can make a trail to where we could do skiing, snowboarding, and whatnot. Plus, a lot of the most famous spots around here in Maine for skiing are right here where I live now. So it's kind of like a ski town. So it's becoming, pretty cool vacation spot. I'd love to have you come visit one time.
Shit, man, we're knocking on your door one day. How's Thursday?
We're gonna have.
I'll hook you up.
Going on too. So in our new room we got going on, we're going to have an undercurrent. So we're not only going to be running DWC with our breeding and for our testing and stuff like that, but we are also going to be running the I Can Grow Visionary hydroponic buckets down in the breeding zone. But in our flower room, we'll be running a double barrel 24 port XL current culture undercurrent system, and it's going to be in a U shape so we can access the middle and both sides. And in our new room that we're having being built, it should be finished at the end of April, and so it's going to be late spring towards the end of spring when it's really running. But I really wanted to start a cool grow series, whether it's seeing you once a week or getting online and really making the channel happen. But I really want to start teaching how it's happened, how it's growing, what it does, what it takes, because there's not too much information out there on it. And I really believe that if someone opens up a cornerstone to where they're showing how to do it, not just showing it off, because a lot of the channels you see with DWC, they're not necessarily handing out the pointers. They're just talking about, look at the plants, look
100%.
at the growth, look at the roots, and this is the system.
100%.
So I kind of want to build it, show people how it runs so that they could one day say, hey, I'm not scared to tackle this type of growing ability, and we can grow it. And that's something that I wanted to share with you, what it takes to build a DWC bucket. And what it takes to build a DWC bucket is actually going to really surprise you. You can do it for under $60 or $50. But the thing is you're not wanting to do just one bucket. You're kind of wanting to do two. The reason being is because the most proficient and effective air pumps out there really have two prongs, but we'll get into that. To start off with DWC, if you want to start DWCing today, you're going to get online and you're going to buy certain things. I'm going to give you that list. You're going to buy one 5-gallon bucket. One 5-gallon bucket you could also obtain at Walmart for a little bit cheaper, but if you have to get it sent in, get it sent in. You just need one colored bucket, whether it's a blue or a black bucket. You want to get a black bucket in my preference. You don't want to use white. You don't want to use orange. The reason why is because light penetrates through those buckets. It will hit the roots and algae will start to evolve and you'll see green roots. And you'll think, oh man, this is from natural, ability. I thought that too. It was coming from algae. It's natural. It just comes through the light. It's not going to hurt you, but you don't want your roots green. You want them white. So you're going to use a black bucket. Your second thing that you're going to want to buy is a 6-inch net pot. You're not going to want to buy the big open wide baskets. You're going to want to buy the one that just has a 6-inch net pot that's got a smaller center hole. The reason why you want the smaller center hole is because you will be having to buy a lot of hydrogen to fill that hole. And to be honest with you, all that area inside of a net pot will also allow your plant to move and stuff like that. You don't want that. You want it to be in a nice, comfortable, tight spot. So what I recommend doing is buying the 6-inch net pots that have the smaller circle in them. And what you're going to do is you're going to drill a small 3/16 hole into the net pot. And the reason why I say to do that with a drill bit is because your air line is better to go through the top of the net pot than to go through the bucket itself on the side, because you're going to have an air stone and an air line. So the third thing that you're going to buy is an air stone. An air stone doesn't have to be the big, super large ones. You could use a medium-sized air stone. It will work just as fine. There's some really cool ones on Amazon for really cheap, $3. It's a very simple and easy process. You're going to be able to achieve this for under $60. So with your air stone medium size, that's all you need. I prefer the blue ones. Active Aqua makes some decent ones. I'm not sponsored by them. They just make decent stuff. So Active Aqua medium size air stone is on your list. The next thing that you want to buy is an Active Aqua pump. A lot of them don't come with one prong, but if they do, grab it. Then you're going to have a single solo bubble bucket. That's great. Easy to start. Most of them come with two, though. So you're going to end up probably wanting to buy 2 net pots, 2 buckets, 2 air stones, because naturally a lot of places don't sell single prongs. But if you do, you got it. You only need to buy 1. But if you do have to buy 2, just remember, most places, they only have 2 prongs. So just remember that. Anyways, if you don't want to run 2 and all they have is a 2 prong, all you have to do is just take a plastic airline, cut a piece and melt one in, or have it capped, or find a cap, and then you could just cap the other prong on the air pump if you don't want to have to use that second one. So the next thing that you're going to buy is your nutrients. And I recommend, of course, like the ones that I said, Cyco nutrients. You don't need a lot. It's actually very simple. And then you're going to have your hydrogen. I recommend hydrogen because they don't make grow stones no more. Gosh, I wish they made grow stones. They were silica based, they were rocks, they were white, and they also prevented almost any and every bug or anything that would ever try to get into your garden. It would get rid of it immediately. I've had gnats before, so I've gotten rid of them, but still I know what it's like. And when I had grow stones, they were never there, because when the bugs land in them, their bodies and their wings just rip on the rocks. But anyways, they may now have hydrogen. That's what we're available to use. It's made in Germany most of the time. You could buy a 15-liter bag. You could buy a 20-liter bag. I have to buy 50 time. It's a very large bag, but it's basically clay hydrogen ball rocks. And I recommend using hydrogen. Why? Because it's just growing based. It's better. It's better than using dollar store rocks and stuff like that. But hey, if that's all you got, that's all you got. But anyways, buying hydrogen is what you're going to use inside of your net pot. And like I said, you're making your drill hole for your air line to go through the net pot. And next thing you're going to buy on that list is airline. You're not going to want clear airline. You're going to want a dark colored blue or black airline. I recommend black. Again, it's not going to be so effective because, water's not getting down into it and stuff. But if you don't have your pump above the bucket and the pump sitting on the floor per se, and then, your bucket is sitting, next to it, the airline's got to go up and then in the bucket. So if you have your air pump above the bucket, it actually has a direct feed line to where it makes it a lot easier to run at a more proficient setting on your air pump. You also want to run that air pump at full 100% blast. You want it bubbling at all times. You do not want your pump to cut off, because in that way you're growing the Cracky method, which is Dr. Cracky. He grows in DWC without an air stone, but what happens is it doesn't grow as fast and it really gets nappy. You really want that oxygenated water. You really want it oxygenizing that water, because oxygen's your friend. You really want that bubbling, because temperature is a big thing with DWC. If you're in a cold state, set that bucket on the ground. You're not going to have a problem with not using a chiller. You're going to be A1, good to go. But if you're in a hot state and it's always hot and it's your water is going to get over 75 degrees and it's getting to the point to where it's like hot room water, man, it's not really a good idea not to use a chiller. But if you're in a place to where it's like, only the lights are on, causing it to get about 76 or whatever, and the bucket zone and the floor is always cold and around 68, 60, 70 degrees, you're going to be fine with no chiller. Just if it gets over that 70 degrees down there in your bucket zone every 7 days when you're changing out your water and it's not staying good, DWC is going to be a bit harder. But that's why you could add stuff like HydroGuard. Now, people do say adding beneficials like HydroGuard do help, but we're talking DWC, not hydro. DWC is all water, root suspended from the bottom of the net pot into the water. It's not like a hydro medium where still there's some type of medium. We're using water. It's literally it's no medium whatsoever, so that's the reason why we don't use the beneficials. It's just a lot cleaner that way. It just works better that way. Science and everybody has really been able to show it too as well. You did mention SLF 100. SLF 100 is an enzyme that I do use bi-weekly. It's part of my secret recipe to keep my roots nice and white. And that's my DWC bubble buckets. And I'm trying to find a way to where I can implement that into my RDWC without wasting 200 gallons of water every time I want to do it. So, because whenever you do the clean outs, you do empty out all the, buckets and the reservoir goes down the drain and then you refill it back up. But, mine's going to be a 24 quart. That's a lot, 8 gallons in each one. Over 200 gallons is kind of hard to, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to possibly use my bi-weekly recipe that I use in my bubble bucket. So that's something that we're going to figure out here and implement in our videos. And that's something that we're definitely going to try to do, is bring the world to the room so they can understand how it happens too, because I'm not necessarily the person with all the answers too. I'm kind of learning at the same time, and I'm sharing everything that I know.
Of course. That's dope, man.
And I'm not scared to do it neither. So if anybody ever reaches out, they know they get to talk from me, whether it's a day late and I didn't get to their message, or a week late. Once I get to it, I'm not going to one line yet. I'm going to talk to you full time, and we're really going to grow together. So it's a passion of mine.
You rule, man.
Passion.
It's a passion. I love that. Hey, that's a good transition. Are you doing live classes? I think you said on Instagram. Can you talk about that before we close out the show?
Lately, it's been just an idea, brainstorming, but I feel like doing a YouTube once a week. I feel like doing a live once a week would be a wonderful thing to do. Whether it's just a quick video and some pictures, something is better than nothing, and it also shares the experiences, documenting, portfolioing. It doesn't matter if you look bad. And I tell people that all the time. Don't be scared, man. People are going to always try to pick you apart. They're always going to try to, keep your garden translucent where they know what you're doing. But the thing is you're just trying, you're not sitting there
100%.
with your thumb up your butt. You're really trying to make something happen. You're doing the best you can with what you got. It's okay to be on live. It's okay to be online and show what you got going on, whether you're doing it right or wrong. People are going to be there to help you if they know how, and we're going to learn together, So if I could teach you what I know and someone else could come in and teach me what they know on these live series once a week, we could really all learn so much. And that's just something that I kind of wanted to bring up. It's not something that is I'm king of this or I'm the best one with this. It's, hey, let me teach you what I know with what I got going on, and let's do the best we can with what we got together as a community, rather than to be an independent person and just kind of looked at as the king with all the answers, because, I'm not that, and I'm not looking to be that. I'm just looking to be along here with everybody else doing something that's cool, that's different. And I'm glad that my water culture makes me cool and different, so.
That's awesome, Thor. I love it, man. However we can support you. Your lives are awesome. I see they fill up on Instagram. But if you ever need anything as far as launching the YouTube channel, we'll have you back. I already have more questions for next time. So whenever that does launch, we will help you. Obviously, we'll drive the Growcast listeners there. So thank you so much, Thor. Today's episode was awesome as usual. And I just can't thank you enough. Throw out your Instagrams, wherever people can find you.
Awesome. So I'm at Real Thor 89. And if you look at Viking Gardens is my hashtag. I have a bunch of portfolio and pictures, and everybody posting to Viking Gardens hashtag. And you could find me on Instagram. Of course, I just said it. That's REALTHOR 89. And I'll throw out there 89 is my birthday. That's why I use 89. and that's my year. My name is Thor. My middle name is Thor, and that's what I go by.
Is that true?
Yeah, so
I thought that was just a moniker.
Real Thor, because I'm really Thor. So, that's where I get my name from. And I also have my genetics at Oregon Elite Seeds. And, thank you for giving me the time to be on here and talk. And, I just want to shout out Team Soulfire Gardens. They're a wonderful photoperiod growing group that have worked out of Washington for a long time. And they're doing good things. And I'm part of that team. And I really appreciate everything that they do as a team, rising with the Phoenix and stuff. And being in here in Maine, I'm also assistant caregiver at the Honeycomb Farms. If anybody's ever in Wilton, Maine and wants to come visit, my wife is the bud tender there, and my family and all of us are up there at the Honeycomb Farms, and we're licensed and ready to go here. So as soon as we can get these videos up and rolling and come back for more podcasts, I'm going to be recharged and ready to talk about some new stuff.
Oh, so excited, man. Viking Gardens, everybody, give it up for Thor. Where's my soundboard? I need the crowd clap. We do that for Growcast TV. Anyways, we'll let you go, Thor. Thank you so much for this generous episode. Thank you, listeners. Stay tuned at RealThor89 on Instagram, at Growcast on Instagram. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Can't wait to come back, man. I really can. I love it.
Sounds great. I love it. And listeners, be safe out there and grow smarter.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
That's all for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. Before we wrap it up, shout out to Photon Tech. Go to growcastpodcast.com/photon to get to photontechlighting.com. Use code GROWCAST for 5% off your lights, and make sure to send us a snapshot using your code to be entered to win free seeds. Photon Tech is really nice because they are a little bit cheaper than most of the high-end bar lights. And the reason that is, I believe, is because it comes with a really simple controller, a really simple dimmer. It kind of lets you customize whether or not you want to spend that extra $300 on a controller. So you get the above 1600 ppf with the X600, for instance, and it's still, with the code, you're spending under $1,000, and it is incredibly powerful and efficient. Photon Tech Lighting. They also have the 1000 watt if you're looking to get crazy, the 465, which will easily cover a 4x4, and they're coming out with new CO2 enhanced lights that are even brighter. I had to dim my Photon Tech 600 because it was too powerful. It was harming my plants. Shane from MyGrow said they were too good, and now I see why. Photon Tech, everybody. Growcastpodcast.com/photon. Use code GROWCAST and send us a snapshot to be entered to win seeds. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on Growcast. Bye-bye.